What is up, my friends? Today we're going to talk fall jerkbait fishing. Now, if you're like me, you are probably a color junkie when it comes to your favorite jerkbaits, whether it's the Vision 110, the Point 100, whatever your favorite jerkbait is. I have a problem, and I literally buy every color that comes out because they're dope and they're fun. Now, if you're like Jeff and you're boring, you don't drink beer, you don't think color matters, then this episode is probably not for you. But if you're more like me and you have 9 million colors in your box, or maybe you're just starting and you're walking over to the wall and you're going, where do I start, right? Today we are gonna break down kind of my 3-prong approach to fall jerkbait color selection. It's super easy, it's worked for me every fall. So I'm gonna break down and share with you my experience for fall jerkbait colors. If you'd like to join, come along, let's do it. Welcome to the Hookup Tackle. The Hookup Tackle is the world's largest showcase of Megabass products, featuring baits and colors not found at any other dealer. The Hookup also offers a wide display of OSP, Evergreen, Depths, Lucky Craft, Jackal, and many more. The Hookup Tackle is owned and operated by family, is staffed by guides and verified tackle nerds who love helping anglers elevate their craft. If you're in the Phoenix area, we'd love to have you stop by our showroom and check out the wonderful world of Megabass and the Hookup for yourself. If you shop online, there are almost 10,000 SKUs of Megabass products alone, with hundreds of other companies and new products being added daily. So next time you're looking for that hard-to-find bait, that color your fish have never seen before, or maybe you just want to elevate your game, look at thehookuptackle.com. Welcome back, my friends. I am Ben with the Hookup Tackle, the Tackle Otaku on Instagram, being joined by just the most depressing man in the world, Jeffrey the King, on Instagram. If you want to follow him there, there's no beer drinking. Apparently color doesn't make a difference.
Actually, don't follow me.
You know what? We should all follow him. Make bug comments. No more swim baits, right? That would really brighten his day. By the way, we're at the Hookup Tackle USA, and today we are talking about jerkbait fishing in the fall, and specifically how to choose colors in a very simple approach that I've used for years with jerkbait colors. And we're just gonna break it down so that it makes a lot of sense and it's very clear, and hopefully it can just kind of give you guys a starting point. Now, I think color is critically important all year, but in the fall, very specifically important. Now, Jeff always laughs at me every time. I wish I could just flip the camera over and you can see that huge smile and giggle that he has. Here's the thing. Color does not trump mechanics and angle and approach and cadence and all of these other things. All of those other things usually are far more important than color. But assuming that you have all those other things dialed, that's when color can really become critically important. I've seen it time and time again where one color gets way more bites than this color, or this type of flash gets way more colors than this type of flash, or this clear transparent gets bit and this solid body doesn't, right? So for me, I love diving down the rabbit hole of color selection. Jeff, my mechanics are perfect, my angles are perfect, so the only thing left really for me is color.
I see.
That's basically what's going on in my head. And same with the audience. You keep improving your mechanics, okay? And when you get your shit together, then we can start talking colors.
So you're saying I'm behind?
Right, obviously. Because you haven't got to the color part yet.
Got it.
Yeah, you're still working on angles and retrieves and that kind of stuff, right? Okay, now, when we talk about colors, this is a generalization type episode, right? Obviously, there are millions of different bodies of water, and every body of water is going to behave slightly different. You may be fishing a small pond with muddy water that all they eat is bluegill. You might be fishing a crystal clear lake with 40-foot visibility and all they eat is gobies, right? So there could be a gazillion possibilities, and obviously if there are colors and things that work on your body of water, don't change because we're having this conversation, right? This is more a generalization. Typically in the fall, the bass just love feeding on bait. Whether it's shad or herring or just minnows or, you know, little perch or whatever. They just love feeding on bait, and this is an approach that's worked really well, so we're gonna break it down. Now, how I choose the color almost always is based on light penetration in the water. That's really the first and main factor for me when I'm looking at colors. Now, light penetration can change from a couple of different things. Obviously, water clarity can make a huge difference. If you're fishing a lake that's clear, you're gonna have a lot more light penetration than if you're fishing a place that's murky or stained, right? So that's the first thing I take into consideration. The second thing about light penetration is time of day. So early in the day and late in the day, you know, the sun is much lower on the horizon now than it was, say, in May or June, right? So as that sun comes up, it's not just coming straight up and just putting light everywhere. It's kind of coming up lower on the horizon, right, as we're getting closer to, you know, true fall and winter time of the year. So even when the light, or even when the sun is a little bit higher in the morning, it's still creating a lot of shadows, right? Even if you just kind of walk out in front of your house, you know, the shadows are longer this time of the year, right? And it's just based on where that sun is on the horizon. So depending on where you're positioned on the lake, that may be less light penetration or more light penetration depending on what side you're on or how shadows are cast, right? So that's kind of how I break things down. So let's start first thing in the morning, right? We get to the lake, it's first thing in the morning, light penetration is low. This is when almost always I start with a pearl-based color. This is a time for me where white shines. Same would go for like shad spawn time of the year, and fall for me is where white just crushes everything first thing in the morning. So, assuming that everybody here is a Megabass junkie, we're gonna be talking about Megabass colors specifically and Lucky Craft colors, because those are our two best-selling jerkbaits, right? So the Pointer series, the 110 series, so we're gonna talk about those. But the same would apply in anything. So if you throw OSP Varunas, you throw the Evergreens, or whatever your jerkbait of choice is, the color selection is going to be the same. Find something similar and you should have really good results. So for me, I'm looking for something in a pearl base, and I like a pearl base, a white base, because obviously it's going to imitate, you know, a shad. But I also like a white base because it really stands out in low light, right? It can stand out a lot. The fish can see it and identify it very easily, and that's really critical with a jerkbait especially, because it's going to be subsurface but not really grinding on anything. If you're throwing a crankbait or spinnerbait, you can get away with, you know, more subtle type colors because it's banging around in the rocks, it's creating a bunch of ruckus. If you're throwing topwater, you know, it's moving around and creating a bunch of ruckus. If you're throwing a jerkbait, yeah, it has some rattles to it, but then there's all this suspending going on. And if fish can't see it, you're not going to get bit. So for that first couple of hours in the day, from safe light until that sun really starts coming up and those shadows go away, I'm all about some kind of white or pearl-based color. So Sexy French Pearl is a great one. Matte Stain Shad is a great one. These are probably my two that I start with. Kamehameha Ghost Pearl is another one that I add in there. French Pearl is certainly be a great one. So this is kind of my starting point in the 110 line. I will go with a matte, like Matte Stain Shad. I will go with this on days where I really need that bait to glow. So the water's got a little green tinge to it. Maybe you had some runoff and it got a little bit of a stain to it. Maybe it's real cloudy and the fish are kind of suspended and I really need them to kind of really visually see the bait. Then I'll go with more of the matte finish. Otherwise, I kind of live in here. Now, if you're a Lucky Craft guy, the two that are always in my boat are these two. So Striped Shad and Chartreuse Shad for me are the two best pearl-based colors that Lucky Craft makes. You know, even though this is a Chartreuse Shad, it's a white-based color. For me, Chartreuse Shad and Sexy French Pearl kind of go together, right? And then Striped Shad and Kamehameha Ghost Pearl, those kind of go together. So those would be my starting points, my first thing in the morning, while the light penetration is at its lowest. Now, as the sun starts coming up, and you start getting, you know, a brighter day and the sun starts getting into the water, that's when I will transfer over to what I call like a half transparent type color. So I want something flashy, I want something bright, but I want it to not be like full chrome, right, or full shine. I want it to have some shine to it, but also some subtleness to it. Because again, usually in the fall, the water tends to be at a relatively clear point through the season. The fish are really keyed in on bait, so they're smart. They've been chasing bait all summer. They're following bait up into coves and creek arms. So they've been seeing the real thing for months now, right? So they're smart. So our color selection needs to be on point for them to really trigger. So what I mean by half transparent would be something like this. So in the Megabass world, it would be something in here. HT Ito Wakasagi is usually my starting point. HT Ito Tennessee Shad is a great one. Kasumi Ito is a great one. So any of these colors would be great. And when I say half transparent, when you take these out, and a lot of you that are familiar with these colors will know this, you can see that this bait has some shine to it, but it also has some transparency to it. So the back is clear, the belly is clear, and then it has this little flash on it. So as it moves and as that sun hits it, you're gonna get the shine and the flash, but then as it's pausing, you're gonna still get that nice subtleness, right? The importance of that is this time of the year, a lot of fish are gonna be suspended, a lot of fish are gonna be moving, a lot of fish are gonna be sitting in open water, whether it's a brush pile, a rock pile, and they're waiting for bait schools to come. So the ability to have some of that flash and that shine will get their attention, but then by having that transparency on the bait, it breaks down the profile, it makes it a little more natural. You just tend to trick a few more fish into biting. So any of those colors in the Megabass realm are great options. If you go into the Lucky Craft world, any of their flake colors can be good. So flake golden sexy minnow, for instance, is a standard out here. So you're not getting that true kind of prismy chrome shine, but you're getting the flakes, so you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. We have Lucky Craft make a couple of Essa colors for us. So Essa Wakasagi is one that we have. Is a totally transparent bait, but it has some chrome on the face and the head. They're now making silver cheek ghost minnow in some of their baits, and that's the same idea, right? So you're taking a ghost minnow, a transparent color, you're adding some flash, you're getting a little bit of that flash, but then you're keeping that transparency going. And these are great for that time of the day where the light's starting to come up, you're fishing more offshore, a little bit transparent water. These are great options. Now, I would say probably 80% of the time in jerkbait fishing, that's all you need. And that's gonna get you through the majority of the fall. Now, the only other color that I really add in would be a fully transparent color. And I'll do this on days where the sun gets really high and there is no wind, right? So usually in the fall, especially if we want to throw reaction baits, we're kind of praying for some kind of breeze, some kind of wind to just, you know, keep the juices flowing on those fish and keep them activated and keep them moving, and to help us too, right? So on those days where you go out and it's just glass calm and it's still and the sun is high and that light penetration is peaking, this is where a fully transparent bait really shines over any of these other options. So when it gets to that point in the Lucky Craft or in the Megabass world, we're doing something like this. So we're doing, you know, Killer Kawaguchi is one of my absolute favorites this time of the year. GP Sexy Shad, GP Crystal Shad. These are excellent options, right? You could also mix in like a stain reaction. We'll throw this color a lot as well. Basically, all we're trying to do is we're trying to get a bait that's just fully transparent, right? So you want to have a little bit of body, but when that light goes through it, we want the profile to really diminish so that it's not too much for those fish. Our cadence is probably gonna slow down, and we're gonna let that bait marinate a lot longer in between jerks. If it's real windy and we can fish real fast, there's a lot of noise going on, then we can have our jerks real fast and less pause, and that bait's just kind of moving and drawing the fish to it. But when it's still and calm and sunny, the fish usually will kind of get a little bit more neutral, a little bit more lethargic, but it's still fall, still want to eat, right? So this would be the time that you want that bait to just kind of, you know, kind of twitch and then just really kind of sit still. for a while and let that suspend, and just let that water kind of move that bait however it's going to, and then maybe just a couple twitches and then really let it suspend and chill. That's where your bites are going to come, and that's the importance of having a transparent bait, because it's going to be sitting still a lot longer and those fish are going to be looking at it a lot longer than the other one. So those are some great colors in the Megabass line. In the Lucky Craft line, usually this would be the time for me to do like an Aurora Ghost Wakasagi. Of course, you could do Ghost Minnow as well. I find Aurora Ghost Wakasagi is kind of my go-to. Also, Essa Dawn, depending on the bait you're throwing. This is a kind of a morning dawn color that we make with Lucky Craft. That could also be an excellent one. We only have it in a few baits, so depending on the bait, it may not be available, but either of these are going to give you that transparent coloration that you need for fishing that clear water. All right, guys, that is a wrap. That is my approach to colors. Now, keep in mind, if you guys are fishing a place that's full of bluegill, full of perch, then, you know, and there are no bait fish, then you could certainly substitute any of these with those types of colors. So I would just go with more of a pearl solid bodied perch or gill for the morning, more of a, you know, transparent one for when the light comes up and you've got your good 1-2 punch. But I found that even on places where they key in on perch and bluegills and gobies and other things, that this color combination, it's worked everywhere I've taken it, so hopefully it will work for you guys as well. If you have questions on any of the colors, drop it down below. I will definitely get to it. Please make sure that you follow Jeff and let him know how important color is to you, and always comment what your favorite colors are on his post. Sound good, Jeff? You're welcome. Guys, on behalf of myself, and probably not on Jeff anymore, he's probably going to quit after this, but on behalf of everybody here at the Hookup Tackle, guys, thank you for the time. Thank you for taking time to watch this. Thank you for your business. Thank you for your support, and we will see you again soon. Good luck with your fall jerkbait fishing. I hope you guys catch a ton. Until next time, peace.